I'm gonna try to remember to actually look at the camera. So I don't do a whole bunch of videos like this, but I thought I might try it. It's kind of a YouTube vlogger style, and I think Instagram is missing that. So I'm gonna try to be the person who starts doing it. So the thing about gigging is not just showing up to the gig, it's not just playing everything perfectly, because all of us as musicians know that naturally just happens. But a lot of the preparation for playing comes in the setup and breakdown, or vice versa. But I think it starts as early as the way that you pack up. So I'm gonna run you through. The cool thing about being at home or in your home studio is on your own kit you're comfortable. On your own kit, everything is as you set it up. You don't have to worry about other people coming in. You don't have to worry about being at someone else's drum kit. But when you go to gig, you're typically setting up in an area that you wouldn't normally be set up, or you're using a back line that doesn't belong to you. Now, I've tried a dozen times to figure out the easiest way to do something like this, but the most simple way I found was to sit at your drum kit and do everything from top to bottom. This gig that I'm preparing to go on, I will be at a backline kit. Everything will be there. Someone else's cymbals will be there. Someone else's snare will be there. So I don't have to worry about the big clunky parts of the drum kit. But I do have to worry about cymbals. I have to worry about my snare. And I also have to worry about the levels in setup, because they have a different setup than I use in my home studio. So whenever I play at a church, I try to take a set of cymbals that are darker and thinner. My domain cymbals do an awesome job because all my cymbals are extra thin and they cut very, very dry. Now, this is the level that you guys are used to seeing me at. When I sit in my drum kit, I usually build from the bottom up. But whenever I'm tearing down or packing up, I always pack from the top down. It makes things a lot smoother. You don't forget things and you don't have to worry about it. Now let's get started. I usually start from left to right, but in your case, you're going to see from right to left. Either way, my dominant hand is right, and it's easier for me to scan back and make sure that I haven't missed anything. Now, while I have the chance, I do want to run through my domain cymbal setup because it's about to change very, very soon. This is the cymbal that I get the most questions about. It is an 18-inch crash. I use it as an effects cymbal, but with this setup and the set list that I'm performing Sunday, I'm going to take something that's a little bit different. It's going to be a these right here. These are so smooth. My domain cymbals, X-Class hi-hats. These actually are not 14. They're 15. I wanted something a little bit bigger. Pretty soon, in maybe a year or so, I'll probably change to exclusively 16-inch cymbals. We'll see how that evolves. This is another 18-inch crash by Domain Cymbals, and it is an R class. It's a little bit drier. It's thin. It's used a lot for jazz because the cut is super, super nice. The last one that I have by Domain is my absolute pride and joy. It is a 22-inch ride, and it's a flex effects ride. I love this ride cymbal because it crashes so beautifully, and it's not even supposed to, but it's a crash ride, and it's sort of my go-to, and I end up actually playing this pretty heavily, especially when I'm in church. It just has the right cadence. So, the stack is not domain. I exclusively use domain cymbals. But I do want to tell you, my old Zildjian ZBT, right, it has the right cadence. So, the stack is not domain. I exclusively use domain cymbals. But I do want to tell you, my old Zildjian ZBTs, my first set of cymbals, I actually acid washed them. They were super, super dirty and sounded really heavy and clunky. This is a work in progress. I'm still set to put some rivets in here and do some more things with holes and some more creative patinaing. But this is just a generic ZBT ride. I'm not going to use it as a ride. I'm using it as part of a stack, even though it's 20 inches. This pressed, I don't even think that it's brass. I mean, it's such a horrible cymbal. There's cracks all in the holes, but it's been patinaed too, slightly, with a little bit of vinegar, buried, thrown around, burned. It's been put through hell, but I'm actually going to use it as a sustained stack, if that makes sense, but it doesn't have a kind of a choppy sound like a crash like that, but it kind of sustains because it's combined on top of this ride. And I'm using that for effects on a couple songs. I thought it would sound cool, but I'm going to put these in my bag and show you how to pack up your snare and how you should line up your things so that you approach your gigs in the most organized and professional way possible. So now that I'm all packed up, let me talk to you a little bit about how you should approach a gig whenever you go and play. It's important to be organized when you sit down at the kit because you have a lot going on. There might be sound check, there might be other guys that are putting out small fires with the sound guy about his bass guitar. There might be the lead guitarist who's freaking out about this part that he doesn't know. You need that time to calculate, like in your brain, what is going to happen. You have a lot of songs to get through. I'm assuming that you aren't going somewhere just to play one song. You have enough to worry about. You have to keep the band together. You have to be on time. You might have certain hits. You might even be given a solo at some point in time. It's important that your setup be as organized as possible. If you work from the top to the bottom when you have a backline kit, it makes everything so much more smooth. And even when you're packing up and going home, it's important to have a checklist. It's important to have things that you check off because you don't want to lose a drum pedal. You don't want to lose a stand. You don't want to lose a lug nut. I've had that happen to me one time, and because I was organized and very, very precise with how I did things, I was able to find a piece of my snare drum. A nut had unscrewed and fallen out at a certain location, and because I was so organized, I actually remembered in my head where I left that lug nut, and my boy Reed was good enough to go back to where we had the back line and retrieve that lug nut for me and find it because I had a gig the next day within 12 hours. So it's important to be organized because if you don't have the clutter of where things are, where did I put this, what do we do now, and oh my god, the show is starting in 10 minutes. If you don't have that pressure in the back of your mind, you can think clearly and it allows you to be a pillar that the rest of the band stands on. And I think that's the best thing that I probably ever heard myself say. But when you're organized and when you are ready and when you are practiced and when you are prepared, that will allow you to be a pillar that the rest of the band can stand on. Much love, drummers, and to all you other people who play instruments, I love you just as much, but this is what it's like to gig. Or, yeah.